It is episode 7, y'all. Welcome to the Good Word Podcast with Goodwill. I'm your host, Vincent Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. We are part of the Ball Don't Lie Network. We are here every single Monday, wherever you get your podcast. And we are also on YouTube. It is an early Monday morning. I am in Sacramento. Thank goodness I am leaving Sacramento. We need to put the Rock's "Leaving Sacramento" song on here, John. You might want to hook that up.
Well, I might take a plane, I might take a train. How do you people live here? You must be insane. I'm leaving Sacramento. Sacramento, I won't stay. Check this out. Check it out. But I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May.
But the Lakers will not be beating the Kings in May because the Golden State Warriors took care of business yesterday afternoon. And with that said, you see the man on the other side of the screen, Jason Goff. If you don't know him, he is the host of the Bulls pregame and postgame for NBC Sports Chicago. He is most importantly the host of the Full Go podcast on The Ringer, so you can get his podcast on Spotify, where he talks all things Chicago, which means he is in full miserable mode with the Bulls being out, with the White Sox needing therapy, with the Bears finishing their draft. Jason, do you need any catharsis, or did you get that off on your podcast? Because you know me, I'm very sympathetic to the Chicago people in my life.
Knock it off. First of all, I'm still catching strays years after you have left this city, because anytime I mention you or anytime you mention anything, it's like, are you still friends with Vincent Goodwill? I'm like, yeah. He's a little wayward sometimes. That's my main man, 50 grand. Like you have really. Bulls fans have a special place in their heart for you, and I do as well, but for different reasons, man. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me on this thing, and I'm incredibly proud of you, man. I've listened to every single Monday episode since you started with Bo and Michael Smith and everybody, all the cast of characters. So I appreciate you running down the line and getting a little on me at some point.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't worry, it's gonna subside.
Yeah, don't do that. We had to get the Bears draft out of the way. We had to get the Bulls. And they're dipping their toe into the postseason. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, because I'm very curious of your thoughts of DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and where that franchise is going, while also making sure that I'm not going to get you fired from your gig as pregame and postgame host. I used to work at that
it's
place.
Been a few years now, so you know me. Like every few years, at some point, the relationship wears thin, and I'm the last one to know about it. So you never know. You never know. By the time this drops, I might be messing around talking about something else.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that, Jason. You're not
battle tested, baby.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby, because you better believe when they see that you're on a podcast with my black ass, they're gonna be like, "Oh, let me make sure that the authorities are paying close attention here."
Oh yeah, we're already in trouble for mob action already.
Yeah, probably so.
Already.
So Jason, I'm sure you saw it yesterday while you were, doing the hockey or
Yes, I was doing the hockey. I'm not gonna lie, I watched Bruins Panthers, but that's not why you call this isn't Puck is life. I can understand. But Puck don't lie, whatever the case may be.
There we go. Puck don't lie.
I was watching Kings. Don't worry, I was watching Kings Warriors. Anytime you are covering a game, or anytime I see you tweeting about something, I can't. And I'm not joking. I'm not just saying this because I'm on your pod. I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now. Like, I like to see the events, not only that my friends are covering, but the game really for me is when I jump into some of those press conferences. I'm like, all right, Vinny about to say this, or Vinny about to ask this, or what's Vinny's angle on the piece that he's getting ready to write for Yahoo. So no, man, I took in Kings Warriors and enjoyed a lot of it, because it moved that dude up a few notches in my all-time favorite players list. And I've not had him there, before 2 or 3 years ago. But Wardell, man, what can you say, man? Wardell.
Now, here's the crazy thing. It was a 50 burger in the game 7, 58-6, 30 in the second half. The final score isn't indicative of how close the game was for 3.5 quarters.
Right.
Steph pretty much looked at the game and said, guys, Either you're coming with me or I'm dragging you with me. And they said, we want to be dragged. Jordan Poole said, Steph, I'd rather not carry today. Klay Thompson said, I want to shoot on the side of the backboard today. I'll play some good defense, but I'll be shooting on the side of the backboard. Steph, I won't say one of the first times, because I feel like game 4 against the Celtics last year, a game I was also in attendance for, it just struck me, Jay, higher stakes and everything else. But you've been in arenas, you've been in buildings where a player does something and the air, you just feel that air just gets sucked out like a vacuum. Steph has sort of mastered the moment of, okay, we're up 6. We're not about to be up 9. We're not about to be up 11. He senses, and I don't think it's front running. I think that's what people like to label it, Jay. I think he notices when you're wobbling, and I'm going to give you this knockout punch. And a knockout punch ain't always a 3-pointer. Sometimes a knockout punch is a steal and a shape-shifting layup. But I feel like he's gotten better at basketball. Maybe not athletically, Jay, better than he was, when he won unanimous MVP and everything else. But I feel like he's mastered the game in a way that this is going to sound blasphemous. I felt like Michael mastered the game after his physical skills started to decline, and that kept him at the top of the hill.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we look for in all the greats, right? Because you're going to get that period, okay, this is the prime LeBron or prime Kobe or prime Duncan or prime Jordan or prime Nowitzki or prime any great player that we've seen. And then, because in football, I always like to think of, what are you after your first real injury? After your prime as a great player, that's when, like, as kids, we're like, all right, well, this guy ain't jumping no more, and he ain't doing this, and he ain't doing that. But as we get older, as basketball observers, we start to appreciate the little things. And I'll say this, when we talk about superpowers in sports, not just in the NBA, whatever trademarks there are for guys and girls running around playing these games that we love so much, I'll put Steph's understanding of when it's time for you to go to bed up there against anybody's. Like, physically, LeBron, when he starts to drive and he's in drive mode, that's right there in the top 5, right? I mean, Mike Trout, anything he does on the baseball field, right? Connor McDavid or whoever you want to pick in the NHL. But when Steph, like you mentioned, understands like, oh, okay, like, I don't believe in you as an opponent, and I'm going to keep that to myself until I start dancing and wobbling on you. But when you start to not believe in you, now it's time to party. And then on top of it, if Steph is the MVP, obviously, that game, 50 points, like you mentioned, he shot the ball 38 times. Like, we're used to seeing Steph do his 20, 25. Oh, you put up 27, you was going crazy. He said, listen, guys, pass me the ball, I'm going to take it, or I'll just go get it off the rim. He had the rebounds, like you mentioned. Kevon Looney, man, like,
yes.
you talk about screen assists. You talk 13 offensive rebounds for the Warriors in the third quarter. Like, that team, when the Kings won that first game and everybody was doing the parade, it was just like, for me, in 2011, Heat Bulls covered that series here. And obviously the characters are different and the stakes are different, right? You got an MVP going up against LeBron and that Heat dynasty to come. But man, you knew after that first game when Bulls fans was out here planning parades, I'm like, hey, y'all, hold on. Like, when the Kings did the light the beam thing and that place was going crazy, I sat back and I was like, y'all done made him mad. And if he can still do what he's supposed to do, like, there's going to be a time when Steph can't do what he's supposed to do. And whether it's 3-4 years from now, 2 years from now, we'll see it. And we'll be like, all right, that's cool. But there's nothing. The body dunk used to be the soul snatcher. There is nothing that is snatching souls like Steph Curry out here putting up bad shots, putting up good shots, the step backs, handling it on, like the basket that made 50. I was sitting there, he was dribbling it, and the Kings were guarding it as if there was 10 seconds left in the game, and it was just a dribble out situation. It's 2:24 left in the game, and Steph was like, "Oh, okay, I'm a curly kneel my way through, a push ahead dribble, catch it, snatch it back, all of a sudden throw up the jelly roll." Like, man, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Like, I love NBA basketball, and when dudes are cooking, I don't care who you're rooting for. That man right there is, he is. I didn't have him ahead of guys that, we've talked about, like
Don't you
Magic
start
Johnson.
speaking blasphemous.
I'm not. Man, listen, it's Magic and Isaiah to the world blow up, right?
Yes.
But when we start talking about this lead guard thing and start moving pieces around and start getting finicky and funny with it, like Dwayne Wade and all the other guys, the dudes who are around that 6'3", 6'4" type, man, nobody's touching this cat, man. Like, at this point, now it's just throwing extra on it, right? Like LeBron still chasing Jordan, all these other dudes still trying to build out their legacies. At this point, it's like, hey, I know who I am. You know who I am. Y'all gonna allow me to do all the things like I'm still a kid, even though I'm 6'3" and I'm cut up. You know what I mean? Like, they still treat this dude like he a kid, and he come out there and assassinate every single team. Like, it's a joy to watch, man. I can't wait to like look back on his career and think about how many backs he done broke with those kinds of moments. Like 50 in that moment. Yeah, you can't do anything but smile and applaud him.
It's more than you think. And that's the crazy thing, because we're in the moment. It's more than you think. And we're a long way past 2016, that Game 7. We are a long... That's like Chris Rock when he was doing one of his first comedy specials. And he said, Pookie is a long time ago, y'all. We a long time ago from Steph throwing the ball behind his back. You know what I mean? We're not that removed from Steph taking the time out that he didn't have. But we're a long time away from that epic failure. He has done so many things. And I guess the greatness of Kevin Durant has obscured Steph Curry's individual greatness, or how Steph Curry impacts winning. And Kevin Durant is so great that we forgot how great Steph Curry was. That's the amazing thing. Like, Steph was the system that whole time. But I do think, and this is like a detour I wasn't even thinking of going, Steph's 3 years with KD, I felt like it gave him a chance to recharge his batteries, to grow up a little bit, and grow into the player that he was going to have to be for the remainder of his career, because he shot up like a supernova. He wasn't a prep school kid. He wasn't an AAU kid. He wasn't a top pick. And there is something that goes into having the NBA pedigree and knowing you're going to have to carry your franchise, carry your city, carry your league. All of these things happened for him so quick. I won't say it almost happened too soon, because he was 25 when he got his first ring. But those 3 years, I think, allowed him to grow into his body, grow into his stature, grow into his place. So now, Jay, he's still hungry at 35 years old. He's old. Like, he's older than Paul George. He's older than Kawhi Leonard. He's older than Jimmy Butler. But he still feels just as hungry to get ring number 5, like if he was going for ring number 1 or 2.
Yeah. Take it back to the beginning, too. Like, not just Davidson, but like when you enter the NBA, I remember there was a time, like those first 3 or 4 years being here in Chicago, there was a few point guards that Derrick Rose really enjoyed going up against, all right? The Jeff Teagues of the world. Shout out to Jeff. He
great storyteller.
Yeah, I was about to say he had a funny spot on the pod the other day with the Jimmy Butler situation. Brandon Jennings, guys like that.
The Rose flu.
Yeah, Steph Curry was one of those dudes who Derrick knew, okay, Derrick didn't really talk a whole lot, but like you could tell dudes who got Derrick to the point where it's like, oh, this dude might be on his hit list. Like the way he out here treating people and muscling people and being physical. And remember too, that first deal, we were talking about Steph's ankles. We were talking about like, yo, is this the kind of money you want to put in somebody whose ankles a little,
I think he got the same deal as Ty Lawson and Drew Holiday, because I think they were all coming up on rookie deals around the same time, and I think they all got variations of 4 and 44.
You mentioned KD too, because I talked about it on my pod on Sunday night, and I was talking about the best player on the championship team theory that everybody runs around with, like, oh, can this player be the best player on the championship team? I'm like, hey man, there's only like 2 of those, 3 of those guys. Like everybody else is a second dude or a third dude on a great team. Hell, you got KD right now with the Suns, where Devin Booker to your right, Chris Paul to your left, DeAndre Ayton behind you, and the Nuggets like, we got waves.
Wait, hold on. We ain't even going there yet. But you said DeAndre Ayton. Did his batteries work?
Oh, see.
You said Chris Paul. DNP old?
Hey, listen. We do this, and I've done it a lot. But there's that Tom Brady game that Chris Paul messes around and has where he goes for like 22 and 12 and everybody's like, see, told you. I told you he wasn't old. I told you him falling down and being guarded by centers and all the other things.
You mean the Aaron Rodgers game, Bears fan?
Yeah, you already, see. Yes, so we on? Hey, man, I'm celebrating. You ain't got to do that to me. This is the first time since 1991 that I haven't had to stare Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre in the face as a Bears fan. This is the first time in 32 years that I haven't had to look at anything but Don Majkowski at the quarterback spot.
The Magic Man.
Packers. But the KD part, though, I think these last 3 or 4 years has elevated the legacy of Steph Curry. Because when KD was there, like we were caught up in, first ranked team in net rating, first team offensive efficiency, second best team defensive net rating, like Dre's doing everything amazing. Clay is just this ridiculously great defender. Like we compare him to Walt Frazier and Steph was just like, yeah, I'm still Steph and I'm doing it. And we winning championships. And then KD was the guy who was brought in as the mercenary. And since then, right? And of course, an Achilles injury is, we talking about the Widowmaker, a decade ago, right?
Yep.
But KD has that injury. And since then, the separation in their two careers, for whatever reasons, whether it be choices they have made, injuries, people that have been surrounding them, I don't know how this hasn't looked like it's been all roses for Steph Curry. He goes and wins a title where they wasn't the best team in the NBA last year.
No.
All they did was outlast everybody. And this is the point where you get to that point in the career where it's like, oh, you getting that gritty stuff off. Okay, I can appreciate it. Like it ain't just pretty. It ain't just, throwing the ball up and turning around and running away. It's okay. You going and staring down the Celtics with a 2-1 deficit and saying, no, we gonna beat y'all. We're going to beat y'all with all the pageantry and all the romanticism around your franchise. We're going to beat y'all. So I think the KD chapter or footnote in Steph Curry's career, things go a lot of different ways when a dude like that is no longer part of your situation. That dude, from that point on, post KD, I don't know how you can write a better chapter or a better act to this play. You get hurt. Everybody gets hurt. The team tanks. Because of that, we out here watching Eric Pascal while Chase Center is a $1 billion stadium with all the Silicon Valley dudes sitting down there in the front row, checking out dudes who they don't know. And then you come back and say, guess what, guys? We're going to run it back and look everyone in the eye that doubted you and say we're going to win it and actually win it. I don't know, man. Like, this is the kind of stuff where it's like only certain athletes and certain entertainers get this gleam. Right. And he's got it, man. He's got it. I'm a basketball fan. I appreciate shit like this.
Yeah, you said it. You said it a few minutes ago. You said it actually to start the podcast. It's like there's nothing in my mind that can make anybody pass those two dudes. Right?
Yeah, nothing.
You know what I mean?
There's I don't care what happens.
There's nothing in my mind. But Steph is the greatest system of all time, and people will take that as system player. No, he's the greatest system. Magic, before that, I believed, was the greatest single system of all time. I don't think Steph is a better player than Magic Johnson. I do think he is a better system for the game that we play today. Now, you said it. This is how great Steph is. And it's the Steph haters and everybody else who think, or people who think I hate Steph, which I think is patently like hilarious. But I'm gonna give y'all one of those apple pies, that hot apple pies with ice cream and it melts. I'm about to give that all to y'all right now. This is how great Stephen Curry is.
Mm-hmm.
He busted up his hand, right? They squandered 3 basically draft picks. Moses Moody can play. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they haven't figured out how to develop him or whatever. But yeah, Moses Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, neither has really panned out in the way that you expect top 10 picks to be.
Right.
Klay Thompson has had 2 significant injuries, and even though the numbers say he played really good defense yesterday, he's not the same player that he was at his height. Draymond Green is not the same player he was in 2016 either. With all of those things that have sort of gone wrong for them, and Kevon Looney is going right, but with all the things that's gone wrong, Steph Curry still has them on the doorstep of another championship because he's that great. You know what I mean? He's that singularly great. He has to put up with Jordan Poole Trick or treat. That's what I call Jordan Poole. He is trick or treat. You don't know what you're going to get from him. You feel the groan whenever he takes a shot. You're like, no. Okay, it went in. Or it's like, what are you doing? You're driving to the basket, getting your pinned up against the glass, and you laying up against the stanchion. You know what I mean?
Steph Curry, you're not gonna get it back on the other end. By the way, he ain't one of them dudes like get it back on the other end. Jordan, like, nope, I'm gonna get it on that end.
No, and it's funny because I wanted to bring you on, and I didn't think I wanted to go in this direction, but because of the way they won yesterday, I feel like you're the perfect person to talk to this about. You saw the late Jordan Bulls, not the Bulls that overwhelmed you with talent. That not only is Michael the best player in the world, but there's Pippen, and we're playing this system that nobody can really wrap their minds around. So we get the best athletes and we get the best system. We're going to overwhelm you. Mm-hmm. Golden State can't overwhelm teams anymore the way that they did in 2015 or 16 or even 17 because they don't take more threes than everybody anymore. They're up there, but now they're doing it with some guile. They're doing it where we can't stop Sacramento from running, so we're going to limit our own mistakes. Sacramento said they're old and they're slow. They were right. But what Golden State did was, we're going to grab every offensive rebound. We're not going to turn the ball over. We're not going to give you opportunities in the open floor. They've reached a stage where they're like, Jay, we're not going to beat ourselves, so you can't beat us. And I think that's Bulls like, and B, that's a really dangerous if you're an opponent.
Well, I want to start this with, how awesome is it that Phil Jackson and Tex Winter and Johnny Bach all some way, somehow instituted an equal opportunity offense to make sure everybody shine. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to Phil for that, the big Zen master. Man, the moment for me was halftime of Kings Warriors where your man Clay was what, 1 for 10, 1 for 11?
He was on his way to a Starks.
And everything, they were down by 3. With all of that, they were down by 3. I'm like, oh, that's not going to hold up. And on top of it, they were doing a whole bunch of pitch post stuff and dribble handoff stuff that had them boys running into every single screen. Like, this playoffs for me, like, it's got that 90s vibe to it.
This is an ass-kicking playoff, Jay.
Hey, listen, it's Celtics, 76ers, Heat, and Knicks. Like, I was talking about it last night on my pod. All I need is the Nautica fleece, some Timbs, some baggy Jabos, and I'm out here again, feeling myself. You feel me? I mean, I'm 17 years old on the Carbondale's campus at Southern Illinois University at the Munchie Truck looking for a rec league game. Like, this is the basketball that I'm here for, right? Like, you look at what happened.
The competition is fierce.
Yeah, Miami, New York's like, hey, slugfest time. Everybody hurt. You got a guy that don't want to play, right? You got a little person at the point guard. We're going to wall that up. Caleb Martin going to do what he do. The Kings ran through so many screens that by the second half, when it's time to rebound again, especially coming out of that third quarter, they knew what was up. Oh, it's time to punch you in the mouth. You done ran through screens and chased Clay for 24 minutes, and he done missed everything. The little dude was back here holding us down. At some
they
point,
had no legs. It was they lost their legs, Jay.
That's it. So all that young old hey, enjoy. Mess around and go to Lifetime Fitness right now. Mess around and go. No, not Lifetime Fitness. Mess around and go to the YMCA right now, because that's where the old head's really at. Go see some old head over there that smell like liniment and see if he won't take your ass up and down the court, boxing you out, giving you elbows. You're gonna feel it. Right. So that's why when we talk about experience, like, oh, this team doesn't have any experience. I don't really think about like the moments that you haven't been in. I think about the physical wear and tear that you have not experienced. Like going back to 2011, I had never seen a player more battered and bruised outside of Shaquille O'Neal than, remember when everybody was having issues with, okay, how do you officiate LeBron? Like, it's like trying to, officiate Cam Newton when he was with the Panthers and dudes were just allowed to just spear and rifle him and just do all the things that they couldn't do to quarterbacks. I saw Taj Gibson and Joakim Noah and Carlos Boozer. Anytime LeBron came to the hole, he was holding something. Hey, take this with you. Tom Thibodeau was teaching that, and he still teaches that, as you can see. So the Kings, love your offense. Love what you do. Keep hitting the light the beam. But in the end, How much does Domantas Sabonis really want to bang with you? I see those rebound numbers. Kevon Looney saw that and said, oh, you the double-double man? Watch what's about to happen here in this third quarter. Took the game over. Like, that's championship.
He kicked his ass. There's something about that is painfully beautiful about playoff basketball when you realize that physically someone ain't up to task and the other team knows it, and all of a sudden everything starts to take shape.
Cleveland.
So, yeah.
Cleveland. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley in regular season, y'all can run up and down, catch lobs, calling this dude the next Tim Duncan.
I'm one of them people. I'm one of them people.
I'm with it, and I'm with it. Listen, I'm with it. These are the steps. This is why it's beautiful. This is why it's my favorite soap opera on TV. Because now I'm looking at, you got the two little dudes, right? You got the small forward that y'all don't allow to shoot. Shout out to Isaac Okoro. And then you got the two big guys. And all the New York Knicks did was, okay, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle. What we're going to do is throw their asses around for 5 games. That's what we're going to do. And hey, if you hit shots, cool. If you don't hit shots, cool. But remember to throw their asses around. And that's a big part of this. Like we've gotten so far to the offensive side of basketball that when stuff like this happens, I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm cool. Like I wasn't mad at the Alabama LSU 10-9 national championship. Stop somebody. I done seen blowouts. I know. Hey, it's like what Deion Cole used to say about food. Like, hey man, your fat ass done ate everything. You know how it tastes. You like it, didn't you? You loved it. All right, now get to the other side of it. Like switch it up. Throw a salad in.
See, Chicago. This is where Jason Goff about to get in trouble because Jason Goff sounds like that he admired the bad boy Detroit Pistons. That's what it sounds like. But we gonna move on.
I have respect. We had this conversation.
Yes,
Isaiah Thomas is the most disrespected athlete that this city has ever birthed. Like,
y'all have done a lot of the disrespecting.
But you don't put the y'all in that though.
Chicago has done a lot of the disrespecting.
I mean, my brethren and sistren out here have, but in the end, dog, like I respect greatness. I am here for the show. Okay?
Absolutely.
All y'all out here rooting for these Cinderella squads and March Madness, wake me when the amateur hour is over. I am here to watch the best of the best. And if that means that you got to muck it up a little bit, if that means that's you got to tuck somebody's chin, I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
Hey, that's life. That to me, that's in his playoff life. And I love playoff life. And playoff basketball is rough. So I feel like I'm not out of line by making this comparison, Jason Goff. So now in the second round, I'm traveling. After I record this podcast today, I'm going to take a trip to San Francisco for the Lakers Warriors extravaganza, or as I like to say, Ali Frazier 3, LeBron and Steph.
Whoa, let's get it.
Where neither side is. For those who not like super boxing fans, Ali Frazier 1 might have been the greatest boxing match, or at least the most historical boxing match ever. Ali coming out of jail trying to get his lick back. Joe Frazier, all the implications that came from it. And I think it's March 8th, 1971. I want to say that was the date. But the Thriller in Manila, Ali Frazier 3 was where both of them were past their prime. Could summon it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they could pull it, like Tiger at the Masters was that last year, where he's limping around, and neither side was really that guy anymore. Now Steph is still closer to being that guy than LeBron is, but he's not the athletic marvel that he was, 5 or 6 years ago, as I mentioned earlier. That's where we are now with LeBron. LeBron may not even be anywhere close, if we're being honest here.
Nah.
Dylan Brooks wasn't exactly wrong. His dumb ass just shouldn't have said it out loud.
Right.
But Jay, we are at this series, Lakers, Warriors. Tell me what you think.
Well,
you don't even got to get into the nuts and bolts, but we could just talk about the LeBron and Steph thing because that's interesting in itself.
Yeah. I think this is Western Conference Finals right here.
I think this could be the Western Conference consolation prize.
Really? Okay. You into the Denver Nuggets that much, ain't you? I know. We'll get into it. We'll talk about it. So this is the thing. I am so happy that this is happening. So happy. Like people run away from the good emotions, right? Like the things that make you feel something, right? Like
Did you get that from Dr. Pia?
Don't play games.
Don't you get
Don't
that
play
from Dr.
games.
Pia?
Listen,
For y'all who don't know.
That's the game that got Pia here.
For y'all
okay?
who don't know, Jason's fiance, Dr. Pia, like I knew that she was a is she a sexologist? Is that pretty much what?
Sex therapist.
Sex therapist. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sexologist.
Anytime I say that, people think that like all she do is see people who are burning candles and got zipper masks and all that. It is, like there's levels to therapy when it comes to sex and those things. But yes, she
so
is.
I wasn't. So yeah, I knew. I haven't met Pia personally because I haven't been back to Chicago because Jason hasn't invited me to come back and kick it.
Don't do this.
But I was watching a reality show.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. I looked at the caption. I was like, it says Dr. Pia is on the show. I think, Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight on Lifetime. Yeah.
Got all these couples that all of us, they get married. Then they try to figure out if they like each other.
Yeah, they meet at the altar. They meet at the altar. Yeah, they get matched, and then they meet at the altar, and then hilarity ensues. Some people stay married, some people don't, but they have to have a honeymoon period. They have to have a period where they get released out into the free world and have to live together. And my fiance is the sex expert, the therapist on that show, along with Dr. Pepper and also Pastor Cal. So
Jason this is what Jason has to live with. So when he talks about all the feels, like we're not going into the sex.
I was this before. Don't see, y'all be trying to play me. And when I say y'all, I mean my friends and people who love me. I was this before, right? Like, I've become more refined in terms of being vulnerable and my emotions and understanding things. But y'all, you know me. I've always been this way. Like I've always said the things that dudes are uncomfortable about saying when dealing with their emotions. I've always been that guy. I just, I've run into my Jedi master when it comes to those things. I'm getting my Obi-Wan, tutorial.
She getting her lick back for all the poor women that had to deal with Jason Goff in his past life. So it's funny because I didn't want to stop you in talking about the series getting on all your feels. I just wanted to add some context to let people know where you were coming from as far as getting all the feels. Go ahead, Jason. My bad. Go ahead. Continue.
I hate you so much. Hey, Pia. Pia, Vinny in here talking crazy. You talking about me being in my fields. Pia talking. Vinny, I'm on Vinny's podcast. Yeah, and he's talking about Married at First Sight and saying that I've learned my emotions and my vulnerability because of you. And we all know that's not the truth, right?
Like that before me.
There it is. See, appreciate you, baby. Checks in the mail. All right. So, no, the reason why I love this so much, right? And I'm talking about the good emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We know what we felt. We know how we feel when we see that boxing match where it's like, Irish dude versus Mexican dude, or white dude versus black dude. Wonder who people are going for. Like, these are the vibes where it's like, it's making me feel something, but you know what? I'm going to stifle it till the event. The basketball gods didn't give us something that we deserved, which was a LeBron-Kobe final. God rest his soul, right? Like, if there was anything that needed to happen, one dude was on the Eastern Conference side, one dude was on the Western Conference side.
We had the Nike puppets and everything.
God.
John, drop them Nike puppets playoffs drop. Give me that.
Playoffs, baby. Playoffs. Make some noise. Woo!
Like, that's the thing, though. Like, if there was any time where the NBA people are the fix is in, I was waiting for the fix to be in for LeBron and Kobe at some point. But this LeBron and Steph thing, though, like, when you have the history that these two have, and not just the history on the court, but I'm talking about the passive-aggressive history. Mm-hmm. Like, these are two petty masters. These are two passive-aggressive masters.
Steph is the petty king.
Oh my God. And Bron is so overt with it while he thinks he's being covert that it's like, it's laughable at times.
He's the most passive aggressive dude. And people think I'm picking on LeBron for being corny, which he is. But the passive I can't get with the passive aggressive stuff. Don't do the 3-1 cookies.
Nah, well, that's something about the Halloween party. I'm like, yeah, like stand on it, right? Like that's how I feel. Like I was raised by nothing but hustlers. You was passive aggressive in that crib, you get punched in your face. You know what I mean? Like yeah, shout out to all the people in the new ways that you discipline your kids, but no. Say what you want, player. Say it what you want, or I'm gonna have to make those shoulders touch. So no, I'm happy about this because, like you mentioned, both of them are past their prime, but still in the window that they are going to be entertaining no matter what happens. And now I want to see how much LeBron can summons. Because he wasn't doing that against Memphis. He was, all right, I'll hit the turbo button.
You think he got something more in the tank?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if there's another level. Like, we've seen the levels of LeBron. We saw Game 6 Boston, right? We saw the 25 points in a row against the Detroit Pistons. Like, we've seen these moments. We saw 22-year-old Bron go up against the Spurs, and we knew he didn't have a chance. But we were like, yo, it means something that this dude is here. Right. Now that we're at this point in the career where we've done all the Lakers stuff and you're not Kobe and you'll never be a real Laker and it doesn't feel real in the bubble championship, these are his first home games in front of these fans.
And they are thirsty. And they are thirsty.
So I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I'm looking forward to it. And on top of it, the friendship that Draymond and LeBron have kind of cultivated here over these last couple of years is rapper shit to me. Like it's Drake and Kanye going over each other's houses, seeing what each other got and complimenting each other and then taking it back to the lab and putting out diss songs. Like I'm looking forward to those two tangling up again too. Like, cause it's going to happen.
I asked Draymond yesterday after the game. I'll probably write it today. So that you can see it. If you're listening on Monday to be on Yahoo Sports, if you're looking at it Tuesday, you should already have had the link. But I asked Draymond yesterday. I said, look, and this was outside the press conference, so you won't find the audio. I said, look, it's easy to, I didn't say it's exactly the way. I said, it's easy to stomp on a dude's chest and you don't know him and don't like him. Can you be ruthless with these dudes? Can you be ruthless with LeBron and AD? And his response was actually really good. And he said to me, you think they're not going to be ruthless with me? I said, we think about Draymond in the context of them. We never think about them in the context of Draymond. Right. And Draymond at least gets it and understands it because he's the one that catches the hell for having the podcast and praising LeBron and all the complimentary stuff when they have gone to battle and, enemies become friends, friends become enemies, that sort of thing. Okay, let's see y'all become enemies for real out there.
Yeah.
What I mean? Not Magic Isaiah enemies. Like we ain't trying to have a 30-year beef. But let's see some ruthlessness. Because Draymond is the most ruthless player competitively ruthless player in the NBA. It's going to require that, Jay.
Real friends go at each other. Like yes. I love when my buddies and I run and pick up games and all of a sudden numbers get fumbled or something happens, another dude walks in and next thing you know, another dude's got next and teams get scrambled. I light up. I got my homeboy, my man Eron. This is my man 50 grand. We go hoop together. And anytime he is on the other team, he already know. Don't walk away. It's going to be me and you for these next 12, 13 points. I'm going to be right next to you. All the pleasantries we rolled over here together. We listened to the same music. We was complaining about our girls. But in the end, I'm here to bust your ass. You here to kick my ass. And that's what I'm here for. Because LeBron, the whole Anthony Davis has to be the best player for the Lakers to win thing. I'm interested. This is going to be the series where we find out how LeBron feels about that too. And I'm interested in that because there's nothing like seeing the legend know when to give up, but there's nothing better than seeing the legend not know when to give. Yeah.
Try to snatch it back.
Hey, to the sounds of Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. So I'm hoping, but like I said, I don't know if he can get it up to that level. Right, because we see those regular season numbers and we see, the triple doubles and all those other things. But I mean, hell, you look over in the West, KD playing 42 minutes a game. At some point, that has to matter.
The bill comes due. The bill comes due. And it's funny. Speaking of pickup games, there's a really funny story about me being in high school And I went to high school with Braylon Edwards. And
Mm-hmm.
we had an almost altercation. I'll talk about that on another podcast because it's so funny. And Jay, you're the perfect person to talk about it with. But it's so funny. Yeah. We just have to.
Is this the music segment right here?
Yeah. It's not that bad because it's a story I can tell out loud.
I got so many jokes I want to get off right now.
I know you do. Your jokes would be the off wax. We can't talk about this on air because people would hear it. But because we got to get to this Eastern Conference. We got to get. Yeah. It's crazy because Boston and Philly is going to be the aesthetically pleasing series. But me and Jason got Chicago ties. Jason's from Chicago. I lived in Chicago for years. I covered the rise of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Jason knew Jimmy Butler when he was cowboy hat wearing, happy to be here rookie. And to see Jimmy from being traded in Chicago in 2017 because they did not want to give him supermax money. They didn't think his body was going to hold up. They didn't think he was that guy. Jay, to see him single-handedly put out the best team in the league last week, are you surprised that at this age and with 3 teams later from leaving Chicago that he's actually turned into that dude? Because there was a lot of doubt that he could turn into that dude, especially in Chicago because the standard is Jordan and then the Derrick Rose thing. So it was a lot of different things going on there. But he's that dude.
Listen, I have
Have you come around?
Well, this is the thing. There have been 2 separate discussions for me during the entirety of Jimmy Butler's career. The entirety of it. Like, I respect Jimmy on so many levels. One, you know me, I'm a dude that if you call your number and somebody don't want to pay it and then you go out and make them pay you more, hey, props. Because that's what happened, right, with the Bulls. Mm-hmm. So there's something crazy like he wanted 48. Yeah, they gave him 44. He messed around and made him pay him 90, 92, something, 93, something like that. Like, hey, get your money. And also, I remember when he got thrown out there on that Madison Square Garden floor in those minutes where Carmelo Anthony was cooking and Tom had nobody to say, hey, I can go down there and slow this dude down. He threw the young boy in there, and from that moment on, I was like, okay, this dude ain't scared of it. He's not scared of it. And his background, like, we've talked about it. He's talked about it.
He doesn't want to be that background guy. He doesn't want to be.
No. Even when Derrick was here. Like, the way that thing ended here in Chicago, I've made no bones about it. I thought was poor. The Pau Gasol, Jimmy Butler, era of Bulls basketball where there was guys who knew how to play the media game, and then you had Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose who didn't know how and just basketball robots and just want to do that, right? So the way things were handled at the end, of course, with the 3 alphas, Rajon Rondo, Dwayne Wade, and Jimmy Butler, who'd have thought that wouldn't work, huh? And now we got to this point where 3 teams later, like, Jimmy Butler is one of those dudes who I hope doesn't get lost in common NBA conversation. Mm-hmm. Because post-Jordan, all we've done is, did you win a ring? Or how great were you? Did you get to the finals MVP? Like, I remember as a kid being able to talk about with my dad and his friends, Bernard King and Adrian Dantley. And cats like that who, they may have never been the best player in the league, but please believe they was going to give you everything you wanted, all the while not being on the center stage for you to enjoy it as a national fan would. Jimmy Butler has always been a hard worker. And I think sometimes Jimmy has armored himself with his hard work.
Absolutely.
In order to alienate the people around him. I think Jimmy has found out that not everybody can or does work as hard as you do, right? Like, there's different 100%.
There's levels. There's levels to this, man.
It's different. And he goes to Miami where they all speak the same language and they all do the same thing. And I was a little worried there with the Tyler Hero ascent, where it was like, all right, he's getting ready to be a dude who some people might think is the better player on the team because of what people were talking about, and also where Tyler Hero belonged and was trying to be placed in terms of white basketball. Let's keep it funky. Like, there's not a lot of white American basketball players that people have to root for, and Tyler Hero was, oh, look at this kid. He's brash. He's a dude who's got enough swag so he can sell him to everybody. And Tyler Hero probably started to believe that too. And Tyler has settled into a terrific spot, right? Obviously, he's got the injury now. But Jimmy has always been that dude. The issue that I have, and maybe the issue that we'll talk about like when his career is over, the problem is Jimmy Butler teams have always counted on Jimmy Butler too much.
Yeah.
Right? And when he hasn't been the guy that has needed to be counted on, he's worked his way out of those situations, whether it be Philadelphia or Minnesota. Minnesota, understandably so. Philadelphia, it's like, man, can you imagine if that thing was able to stay together and what they would have been?
That was perfect for him.
Ben Simmons' career goes in a different direction. Tobias Harris, well, shout out to Tobias, because throughout all this, Tobias has been like, hey, I'm going to cash these checks. Y'all can say what y'all want.
Bag all-star, baby. Bag Hall of Fame.
Right? So
bag franchise player, baby.
I hope Jimmy's career is appreciated the way it should be in the end. I may have had some disagreements with the way he's handled things at different spots and the way he's handled people who have been loyal to him and trusted him with their fate. But you can't say anything bad about what Jimmy Butler's done. Now, the problem is, we're going to get to that part that I've always come to. You count on Jimmy Butler too much. At some point, Jimmy Butler's going to Jimmy Butler his way into injury or fatigue because of how he plays and who you're going to lean on. All right? Like, so whoever comes out
and this is on the heels of getting hurt in game one with that ankle.
Right.
And it looked bad. And of course, Jimmy, being the hard ass that he is, was going to continue to play. He was going to be out. He wasn't going to pull himself out. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to pull himself out the game. Miami, regardless of what happens in this series, like other teams that we know, Jason, have some soul searching to do after this. They can go to the conference finals. They can go back to a game 7 against Boston or Philly and come within a 3-point shot short of the finals. And still Pat Riley will know that he has significant work to do to maximize what's left of Jimmy Butler's prime, because I think he's 33. He'll be 34.
Heavy miles.
Heavy miles. And not highway miles. These are city miles. These are pothole miles. And he works himself into that spot. And I do think, and bringing back your point, it has been a growth process for Jimmy. He's had to grow and mature and learn. And we, once again, the same thing with Steph. We always assume that because a guy turns into a star, that he has the answers on all of the things. And he didn't have the answers on all of the things. And I think he will even, I'm not speaking out of turn. I think he would even admit to that, even if his intentions and his base was pure. You know what I mean? He does come from a pure place. It's just a place of Tomball, Texas. You know what I mean? That's where his purity sort of comes from. It's a different sort of stage for him, or what I'm saying, a different inflection point for him. So I am very curious to see how Miami works itself through not only this series but moving forward, Jay. Because this ain't look, Tom Thibodeau, he ain't making too many changes. Like we've seen his movies.
Nah. You already know what's happening here. We're going to build a wall against the little person that y'all have all, called the next, great Knicks point guard and Jalen Brunson. By the way, shout out to Jalen Brunson, right? Like, that dude, since he threw up the double birds in his final high school game at Stevenson in the championship game, I have been a fan. You knew about that, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. Like on the way out. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, look it up. Look it up. I'm not making it up. Yeah, on the way out. Jalen Brunson has been that dude since he was a child. I mean, look at Rick. Like Rick walk around like he ready for Game 7 at all times. So,
Yeah, see, that's really an off wax. I got a Rick Brunson.
I have several.
Okay. All right.
Several interactions with old Ricky B. Yeah, man. So yeah, like that whole Knicks thing. Now, let me ask you this though. The Julius Randle thing. So
I know where you're going.
So at the end of the last series, you could tell that things wasn't the best between he and the comrades, whether it be Tom Thibodeau and the teammates. And then I check in because I want to make sure that I'm making educated guesses when it comes to these series. I check in with my people in New York. I'm like, hey, Is your man going? Game one? What's happening? Oh, yeah, put him through the paces at the beginning of the pregame and see how he's feeling. And then they throw the footage out there where he's going through his pregame motions. Like, all right, JR ready to roll. And then we get to the game. And Julius isn't there. And I'm not the dude to ever question anybody's pain tolerance or pain threshold. But you talk about the Miami Heat needing to do something different. I think both these organizations, when they come out of this series, are looking at some of their best players and like, yo, are you coming along for this ride or not? Because Julius Randle is important to that team, but at the same time, is Julius Randle and all the things that, the last 2 years.
What you said in the beginning. Can he be your best player? Can he take up, and not even be your best player, because I think that's all pejorative, but can he take up the most oxygen in the room? Because he takes up a lot of oxygen. Right. And dudes get used to playing without him. I like living with you, but I love living without you.
Yeah.
I done had those conversations with various people in my life. I like being with you. Yeah. I love being without you.
Yeah, and it's okay.
Is that a Pia-ism? I don't know. Maybe
I'm sure. But listen, there's so many at this point. My mind is flooded. But it's okay though. Like that's the other thing too. It's okay to let go of things. It's okay if it ain't right for you and it ain't right for me, and we sitting here stubbing our toes over and over again. Let's go. Open toes.
You hitting your foot on the side of the bed.
Yeah, right. Like at some point, the Julius Randle thing. I think he's reached his max potential, if I'm not mistaken. Like coming out of Kentucky, like all I did was like, oh, okay, they got another Jamal Mashburn type dude, like lefty, power guard, power small forward, power forward. Now, he's grown to the point where it's like, okay, that first game when he broke his leg with the Lakers, you're like, what's happening here? We're not going to get a chance to see this potential fulfilled. But that Knicks thing, seeing that place rocking and hearing that organ, Madison Square Garden is always, in my opinion, like I've only been there once, and that was for a fight. That was for Klitschko versus Brewster, I think in like 07, 08. And I walked in, I'm like, this is a dump. And I understand why you guys feel this way about it, because everybody's got their dumps that they feel good about.
A Knicks game makes sense. A Knicks game makes Madison Square Garden make all the sense in the world.
Oh man!
Like John, I'm going to have John for our transit. I'm going to have John put the organ in whenever we change playoff topics. That's what I'm going to have him do. We played the organ last week. Adonde brought up the organ, and that organ is so good. And and Knicks fans, they know when to clap. They know when to cheer. They recognize. They also recognize when it's going bad. Like that's one thing. That's one thing I'll tell you. Midwest fans, or particular two Midwest city fans, Detroit and Chicago. They know when things are going bad. They know when it's going downhill, and we gotta, hey, y'all gonna take this time out?
Yeah, what's happening here?
they getting up. They getting up, or they doing the 20. Like, hey, Knicks fans
we also want to jump it too. We want to jump it like, hey, next they miss a shot here. There's got to be a timeout coming out, and then you can go. All right, now everybody needs to reel it on in. You speaking of Detroit. And in Chicago, knowing when it goes bad. I was in the house the day that Jerry Stackhouse set the United Center record for scoring. Ooh. Right? That was like a New Year's Day or New Year, like was January 2nd 2001. Or something?
It's like 2001.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there and Stack is putting up 27, and then you look up, you got 42, and I'm looking around like, hey, y'all know this ain't going the way that it's supposed to go. Like, everybody feels it. Everybody understands the energy, the Madison Square Garden energy, just from the TV and growing up through it, watching Bulls Knicks, right? Watching Knicks Pacers, watching the Knicks, just fight and slog their way through
It's funny how the Knicks are viewed affectionately and the Detroit Bad Boys are not. But go ahead.
Well, it's not funny because we always understood that the Knicks never had a chance. Like, there's a reason why there are rivalries that tear your hearts out, and there's a reason why rivalries like, oh, y'all cute. Like Packers fans look at Bears fans over these last 2-3 decades, like, oh, y'all cute. I remember the Super Bowl shuffle. Like with the Pistons and the Bulls, man, we watched Jordan and the boys get thrown around and punked and moved around, and then all of a sudden dudes started lifting weights and talking crazy, and the Pistons got hurt and old at the right time. It's a match made in basketball heaven. I don't have to hate you if I'm better than you. right? Like, you talk about me getting let go. Listen, man, I don't hate any of the people I used to work with. I know who I am. I'm better than all y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the Bulls Pistons relationship back in the day. Like, oh man, look at those guys. They're good. And then all of a sudden, Mike turned it up a notch. Pippen came of age. Holt Grant started doing his thing. Cartwright was out there, man in the paint. Phil Jackson, was like, all right, I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. You ain't a rivalry no more when you better than them. So that's what the Knicks and the Bulls have always been. So I've always looked at Madison Square Garden affectionately. It's just felt like a home away from home basketball wise for me as a fan. I know that for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the great Jason Goff, the fiance of Dr. Pia.
That's how you're going to lead now?
That's how you're going to lead. We're going to leave Dr. Pia's fiance. You can catch him when he's not doing Bulls pre and post. We didn't even get to that. We didn't even get to that moribund franchise. We're going to have to talk about that during the offseason, Jay. We have to talk about.
Continuity is key, brother. Continuity.
We're going to have to talk about Lonzo Ball and Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and where they go from there, and Pat Bev having a different type of party inside the United Center that we have not seen in years. For those who know,
it's a gangster's party. It's a gangster's party.
Tap two somewhere. That's all I'm gonna say. Tap two somewhere. That is Jason Goff. You can catch him a few times a week on the Full Go with Jason Goff on Spotify as part of the Ringer Podcast Network. Jason, thank you for joining, man. Appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you. Vinny, keep doing your thing. I appreciate you so much. I love your content, not only reading it, but now I get to hear you riding around with my kid. And my kid thinks every black voice that he hears is daddy. So I appreciate you for making my kid feel like I work at Yahoo.
There we go. That black man bass. My nephew hears my voice. My sister's like, can you come and talk to your nephew? I'm like, why? She's like, the bass in your voice scares the out of him. I'm all right, cool. We'll keep it that way.
Put me on the phone.
Exactly.
Watch behind your damn ears.
Boy, get in the tub.
Love, bro. Love, man. I appreciate you, and this is very fresh. I'm very happy for you. You feel like you got a good staff. Shout out to John. Got to kick it with him pre-pro. So this is a good look, man. I'm going to continue to listen, and I know everybody around me will do so as well.
I appreciate you in Chicago. Don't let anybody tell you. I enjoyed my time there. I loved y'all. I loved the restaurants. I loved
other things.
A lot of other things. A lot of other things in Chicago. Love all that. Love all that. But thank you guys for joining us here on The Good Word. We are here every single Monday on the Ball Don't Lie Network. Don't forget, we got Jake and Dan on No Cap Room every Thursday. More playoff basketball. We will see you guys next week. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to drop something down on the reviews on your Apple Podcasts, on your Spotify. Rate us, review us. And never forget my guy, John Gennaro, working behind the glass, just as much a part of the show as I am. Really appreciate you, sir. John, I'm sure you got a kick out of hearing what Dr. Pia does for a living. I'm sure everybody else did, too. See y'all next Monday. Everybody be safe.